Good evening, my friends. Let's get this centered. Let's see. Make sure that I can actually make a video tonight. And, I've had some thoughts in my head lately, and I thought I would put it down on video. Every time I make a video, I feel a little bit awkward at first. And then after I get going, I, get in the flow, and everything flows smoothly. I know a lot of people who make videos probably take first and second and third takes, and I'm just not in the flow. For me, every single one is a first time thing. So that's why I start off kind of non-collected. But, I'm doing my best here to share my thoughts with the world, and it takes a lot of balls, let me just put it that way, to express my true, deepest thoughts. And that's why maybe I avoid sharing certain things, certain subjects. And, especially when it comes down to my personal life. And I get asked quite a bit about personal things, but it's not that I don't want to share them, it's that I figure, everybody's got their own crap going on. Why do they want to hear mine? But, so generally my whole philosophy of life is to take things as they come and to try to face things for what they are, not for what I wish they could be. And it hasn't always been this way. I've gone through a lot of changes in my life. I've gone through a lot of different phases where for a while I'll believe one thing and then believe another, but never really wholeheartedly believe anything, but say, this sounds like a fantastic idea. And I guess the word fantastic could be fantastical in the sense that it's not likely, like fantasy, fantastic. They're the same word. But sometimes things are just amazing. And when it comes to existence, or let's say God, life, the universe, I don't feel like I have to go out and confirm anything anymore, or convince anyone of anything as far as what I believe. And that's a very empowering feeling. And that's one of the messages that I try to convey here, is that for all of you out there who are yearning to try to understand yourselves in the world, be okay with what you know and what you don't know, and accept that, and realize that we will eventually find ourselves in the right place if we just have a little bit of faith in ourselves, as much faith as we have in, our beliefs, our religions. I wanted to make a video about this particular subject, but at the same time I didn't want to dismiss anyone. I didn't want to get too far into insulting any particular type of belief. I know I have subscribers out there who probably use crystals, who are Reiki healers, who believe in the Illuminati, control, and the New World Order, all these different things which sound unrelated, but basically they're all tied together in this theme of what I've been working on lately. The idea that we externalize things and try to understand things on a level that we don't really look back at the evidence for. And that's maybe a little scattered, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm pretty scattered. When I'm talking about crystals and stones and whatnot, I've looked back to say, okay, where does Reiki healing come from, and where did these where do the idea of certain stones being good for certain things come from, and where's the original literature and history behind it? And you'll find out that it was really, most of these things were created within the last 100 years. And along in that same amount of time has come a hatred of science through a lot of groups. A lot of people who say, science is just out there to fool the people. Science is out there to convince us all that there's nothing greater. And nothing could be further from the truth, because there are more amateur scientists than professional or government scientists by far. I mean, most of the scientists and science that goes on is in the private sector, yet people say that the government uses science to confuse us and delude us. And it's as if there's this hidden knowledge from us, this I will discover something one day that will change the whole world attitude. And maybe that's true, but the person has to work towards that. It's not something you can just discover or read in a book. You can't just open a book and go, oh, here's the secret to the universe. I'm going to share this with people. And there are people who believe that the Illuminati or the Freemasons hold these secrets, and that's not true either. It's complete bullshit. If that doesn't work, they'll believe that they're trying to control other people's minds through HARP or some other, extreme government operation. Maybe so in some cases, and I'm well aware of all the history of our government and all the bullshit they've done, the military and otherwise, but all of that aside, you gotta let the fear go and just say, I want to live my life, I want to enjoy my life, and I don't want to sit and worry about nonsense. But when it comes to beliefs, it's a lot harder. We can let go of conspiracies, but we can't always let go of, our fear of death, our fear of not being here anymore. And so we create meaningful connections between things that may not be that important. And, as I'm making this video, I've got this whole list of stuff, 2 huge lists of things that I want to make a video and talk about. But I can't even get into it because I realize I'm not doing it any justice here in this video. It has a whole list of the different conditions. Apophenia, which is seeing hidden messages and things that you think are just for you, which a few years back I was seeing numbers and numerology was my thing, and I kind of went through these phases where for a while I felt like the universe was speaking to me meaningfully. The question was never, am I receiving some sort of a pattern or a signal, but rather, is it something meaningful that I can do something with? Is it actual information? And that's here, I guess, trying to collect my thoughts is difficult on this wide of a subject, but that's the one message I want to ask and convey to people is, you can believe whatever you want in life. We do. We have all kinds of different religions and political and theoretical beliefs, but if you're promoting a belief strongly, the question is it really helping you? Is it doing something for you to benefit your life? And if so, really try to identify that. If we have delusions that we think things are a certain way and that we're smarter than other people and we can read in deeper, I think we owe it to ourselves to be able to prove that. That means we have to actually show our work, just like in any discipline. Say, okay, this is the time I put into researching this, and that's why I know this. Or this is the time I put into meditating this way, so I'm disciplined in this way. And there are a lot of people out there who want to charge you to find these truths, and that's probably why I speak up on it a lot, charging for enlightenment, if you will. And there are plenty of courses that are $111 or $33 per session. They use these bullshit numerological numbers that try to make it sound like it's something special. I guess to be a yearly member of some of these particular groups, it's like over $3,000 to be a yearly member within these like spiritual groups. I think Deepak Chopra had something like that. But interestingly enough, Deepak Chopra, who people think is this great guru, his son made a documentary where he followed his own dad around, and it's pretty interesting. It really reveals the human side of every guru out there. And it's not that, we all need somebody to look up to, but I think that the problem is that we have this idea that others know better than we do. And that's a complete delusion. There are people who can teach us how to live better if we're not doing well and we see others who are doing well. But we have to be able to see them leading by example. You know what I mean? We can't just say this person looks, because they're wearing a robe or they have these big deep words about quantum physics, that they understand themselves. It's complete bullshit. The ones who really understand things are the ones who are happy. It's not about how much money they have or how much knowledge they have. It's not about how much religion they have or what they wear. It's about just being happy with life. And more than being happy, it can't be a false-ass bullshit happy like a lot of these people have. You can't ignore negativity or bad feelings like there's something horrible. Oh, well, I don't have negative thoughts. I'm always in this positive realm. It's bullshit. You face the good times. You face the bad times. You completely engulf yourself in what life is, the ups and downs, and everything just does what it does. There's no more resistance. There's no more fighting. And I'm saying this through experience, because I've been through some hard times in my life. I've been through a lot of shit, but it hasn't been that bad. I can acknowledge both factors of that. But lately I've been going through a lot of crap. And I'm still able to keep my own thoughts and my own self functional and talking about the things I want to talk about. or learning the things I want to learn, or having the relationships I want to have. In other words, one event that affects my life doesn't devastate me. And for a lot of people, they just can't cope with change. And change to me is almost like a secret welcome. I'm like, bring it on, you know. Change, cool. What do we do next? You know, what's the next fucking awesome, mindset to put myself in? Because I have confidence in my brain, in my abilities, and my ability to change and adapt to situations. And, there are people out there who don't want to acknowledge the negative sides of things. There's a lot of talk of things like toxic, there's always something suspicious when people start talking about toxins. And maybe some of you have used that, but it's okay. It's okay to get away from that idea of toxins. Some people identify certain drugs as toxins, but their herbal teas are not, or like you need to flush the toxins from your body by going through this process of cleansing, and then after a couple weeks, and it's bullshit. People make things up about the colon and how you cleanse it through these, flushing. Sure, people can have, issues with their colon, and people can have problems with digestion, of course, but most people, their bodies work themselves out as long as you have a proper diet. If you're out there eating fast food all the time, then that's a different story. But I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of BS out there, and buyer beware, caveat emptor. Ignoring negative emotions or ignoring the reality that some things aren't good for you, that's something that'll harm us in the long run. We all, here's the thing, I was thinking the other day, if we ignore, there's a battle between science and belief, or science and religion in a lot of realms. And it seems like it's just ridiculous, because science isn't a way of disproving religion, nor should religion dispute science. They should work together. Science is merely a different method to understand the universe. And the only reason it's argued against is because it counters what the Bible says, or certain religious beliefs. And I think we should move forward with the times when we learn new things. But, if we ignore religious beliefs, the claim is that we suffer a horrible afterlife or go to hell. But if we ignore science, we die. This is no clearly seen than, in like Christian Science, No, we'll just, certain practices where they refuse to allow certain medicines, but they will allow others. Hey, it's in God's hands, fine, but aren't we part of God, And this, of course, isn't supposed to become religious, but it's a huge issue within our beliefs in the world. That's why religion comes up in my discussions, is because it has to. There's no other way. It's so ingrained with the way that we function as a society that there's no way around it. There's a condition called pareidolia, where you see symbols and you think that they mean something very important to you, or that they're more meaningful than they really are. I think a lot of people have this to a degree. It's a whole variety of our... There's no such thing as mental illness. There is, but, what I'm trying to say is that there are just degrees of mental acuity and understanding, and we cover ourselves up and delude ourselves in different ways, but we have to figure out if that works for us. There's nothing wrong with a small village that's all believes in one religion, as long as that helps them. You know what I mean? But finding connections that don't exist, or being what they call a cognitive miser, which is just being a lazy thinker. That means you just believe what other people tell you, or what you hear and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of different... we have nihilistic delusions. We have delusions of guilt, delusions of grandeur, delusions of reference, which we think that certain things mean things that they don't. Delusions that we can read other people's minds, or that others are reading our minds. We have delusions of somatic delusions, which a lot of people have, which we believe that we're having bodily harm, or bodily harm will be done to us. A lot of people manifest this in thinking that they're always sick. And understanding these things helps me to realize that if I'm feeling a certain way, I have to ask one question. You know, people see signs in dreams. They see signs in other people. They see signs in movies. They think movies or music are talking to them. They think that books, symbols, code words, gestures from other people all mean something significant. The question I've always asked is, do they serve you? Are the delusions helping you? Or are these feelings or realizations helping you? Because ultimately we are slaves to our own senses. And if our senses are malfunctioning or we're seeing things that may not be there, what do we do? You know, I mean, some people have built... I mean, religion itself could be considered a delusion in some circles. But, so I'm going to finish this off by just giving my kind of rundown of where I wanted to go with this, which is, how do you do something good without, what should we be working towards? So I have a couple on my list here. One is working towards goals. Two is experiences and life, which is that we're here to experience, go out and do things, go on a roller coaster, go on a hike, you know, meet people. Three is art, music, and creation, invention, making things, simple enough. Loving others, and these are in no particular order. Love is a very important one, and it would probably be first. Awe for the creations that surround us, or awe for the universe. And the last one is self-respect, which may be the most important. And I know a lot of people have heard this a million times, love yourself before you love others, but it's not about having ego towards yourself. It's about embracing the fact that you're just another one of the people. I'm fragile. You're fragile. We're all delicate people. If we're doing well and we're getting the respect we deserve, we feel strong. But imagine if everyone in your life turned against you and said, you're a horrible person, even if you knew it wasn't true. How long would it take to break you? You know? Let's say you have millions of people, thousands of people, or even a family that admires you, whoever it may be. This happens in like Hollywood with, you know, actors who who have all this fame and glory, and then all of a sudden they do something stupid or get accused as being a complete perv, and then their whole lives change and they become miserable probably because of it. How people view you is important, but how you view yourself is crucial. So, I think that's the end of my video. I ended up going over a few of my notes here, but really didn't cover it in the way I want to, so I'll be doing another video down the road too. I'll probably do it with my audio recorder here, which I record my videos on, because I delete them off the camera, but I put them on YouTube, and I'm going to turn this one off now. It's a little Tascam. What is it, a DR05, I think, recorder. It's a nice little recorder. Helps me take my mental notes, and for what it's worth, I've got so many mental and physical written notes that I don't even know what to do with them. But I try to keep them in mind. I try to keep thoughts in mind and go back through my old thinking and, you know, share it with people, share it with myself, my family. Try to understand not the universe for the sake of understanding the universe, but for the sake of living a better life while I'm here. And that's what I'm hoping to convey to all of you. And hopefully you're leading a great life right now too, for what it's worth, and making the best of it. Talk to y'all later, and have a wonderful night. Peace.